Thanks for the invitation to come and speak to this community. Very happy to be here. So my name is Maria Doyle, and I'm joined by Aidan Culhan, who's also on the call. I'm community manager of Bioconductor. So as it says here, it's possibly the world's most impactful bioinformatics open source project. So I'll tell you a bit about that and my role as community manager. And I'm based at University of Limerick in Ireland, and I'm also a YERUN member. Okay, so my role as community manager, I started just over 2 years ago, and I support the over 1,000 developers and the many users that Bioconductor has worldwide. So from things like answering queries, social media communications, and I'm also involved in a number of projects that are leading Bioconductor global expansion, particularly in Africa. So I'll touch on these later. And I'm PI on projects that are driving training and community growth. First, I want to tell you a bit about what Bioconductor is. And for that, I want to put it in context of where it came from. So, Bioconductor has its roots in R, and R was the first open source statistical language. And it was started back in 1991 by these two guys here. So, Robert Gentleman and Ross Ihaka. And this is a timeline shown on the slides here, and they wanted to develop software that would enable statistical analysis to be done by anyone, and that any people who wanted to contribute to the code could. So it was the principles were on collaborative software development. So they made it freely available by FTP first, and they started a mailing list where people could communicate and ask about using it. And in 2000, the very first version of R was released. And at this same time, there was a new technologies being developed that enable biology at scale. So the major one was the Human Genome Project, which started in the 1990s. There's the logo here shown on the slide. And this enabled huge amounts of biological data to be generated and new technologies. And so this confluence then of high throughput biology that needed statistical methods and the availability of the very first open source statistical language, so R, led to then the birth of Bioconductor. So you may recognize this photo. So the same person who co-founded R, Robert Gentleman, was also the founder of Bioconductor. And that started in 2001. And that began with an open source R package repository where people could contribute packages. It always had, it was founded with reproducibility at its heart. So version control using subversion and package checks, making sure packages had tests and that they passed the checks. So it was reliable software. It also introduced these special data classes for biological data, which enabled interoperability. So packages could work together and users could have standardized formats to use for the data that would make things more efficient. And so Bioconductor then became the de facto standard for statisticians who are publishing new methods on analyzing these large amounts of high throughput biological data. And the image here then is showing a screenshot of the very first Bioconductor website, and that was from 2002. And so fast forwarding to today, so Bioconductor, and we're now at version 3.20. It's a very community driven. There's now over 2,000 packages contributed by people all over the world. They allow analysis of many different biological types, and there's over 1 million downloads per year. And there's a strong value in Bioconductor of helping users become developers. So if they're using packages and they identify, oh, there's no package for this type of analysis, or I want to look at the data in this way, they are supported and able to develop packages. And then this screenshot is of the new version of the website that I was involved with, which I'll mention again later. And so why do we care about Bioconductor now still 20 years later? Well, over those 20 years, so we are have gained the ability to measure biological molecules in more and more detail down to like single cells. So this image is showing many different ways we can analyze the molecules within humans, and this helps us to identify things like disease, what's causing disease, better treatments for disease. And so this has then increased the large, or meant that we have large amounts of data that require advanced statistical methods and methods that are efficient, fast, and user friendly. And this impacts a wide area. So not just biology and medicine, but also biodiversity, agriculture, marine. And this here is a plot, an image from CZI, Chan Zuckerberg Institute. I'll mention more later, and from the Open Science group there, so led by Dario, who Claire is mentioning. So this is from their recent impact report of open source software. It's available on Zenodo. I've put the DOI link here. And this is showing the top 10 essential open source software in biomedical research. So on the y-axis here, we have the number of mentions in the scientific literature, and on the x-axis, it's over time. So the last 2012 to 2022. And we have, of these top 10, four are Bioconductor. So Bioconductor itself, and then the three packages, Lima, EdgeArt, and DC2 are specific packages within Bioconductor. So this shows that it has a large impact on biomedical research. And how is Bioconductor currently, how is the community structured? How is it governed? I know that's an interest to this group, governance. So this image here represents our community and its governance. So the circle being the community, and the core team in the center, they are a group US based who look after the build system that checks the packages and coordinate the reviews of packages that are submitted. And around them, we have then a technical advisory board and a community advisory board, which are largely volunteers from the community that give input into Bioconductor's strategy and direction. And there's also a scientific advisory board that gives yearly advice. And then we have many working groups and also committees working on specific areas of need within the project. And it's now a thriving ecosystem for biological data. This is a screenshot of the website showing the packages that are available. So these over 2,000 packages, they enable analysis of many different types of omics. So genomics, transcriptomics, proteomics, and these perform a range of methods, a strong statistical focus, and also annotation. So enabling, say, genes to be annotated with their gene names, so gene sequences. And the Bioconductor provides this easy on-ramp for users by providing this data, methods, and annotation all in one place. These packages, they're not solely written in R. They have underlying methods in C, C++, Fortran, Python, Julia. And R and Bioconductor are both very strong in visualization. You can produce really nice graphs and figures then that you can put in your papers. And also interactive tools, things like Shiny, more recently, to enable people to interact with their data and explore it. So some core values of Bioconductor from the beginning and that have continued on are reproducibility, reusability, and efficiency. So there was a package repository in the beginning that enabled people to share their code. Originally Subversion, now it's GitHub. There's also a rigorous review. For packages. So anyone could submit a package and it goes through automated checks. But importantly, there's also a human reviewer as well who then checks the code to see if there's any improvements needed. There's daily builds and checks of the packages on multiple software platforms, and any issues are reported to developers. And if these issues aren't acted on, like if there's errors and they're continuing, at some point then the package can get deprecated. So it means quality is maintained. There's also standardized data structures. So these classes that I mentioned previously that enable interoperability. And all packages are required to have documentation, not just help pages, but also a vignette, which is a mini tutorial with examples that enables users then to use the package more easily. And these ideas were fair before fair. So fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, reproducible, and the word is used a lot now. And fair was built into Bioconductor from the beginning. And all these things help to make Bioconductor a trusted repository. So it provides a stable quality software. The screenshot here is showing the up the build reports, daily build reports, where anybody can go in as well and check and see if packages are passing tests or not. And Bioconductor is continually innovating and developing. So there is a release twice every 6 months. So, and this enables new packages to be added and new features to be added to packages. And it means that the project and the methods can keep up with the fast evolving biomedical research. And the screenshot here is showing the releases over the last few releases and numbers of packages. And just a note to mention that packages can be removed, as I said, if they are not fixing their errors. So that's why in the last release there was a little dip. There was an increase in deprecated packages. And so, as part of that quality and standards, there's been an emphasis in Bioconductor on really good, high quality documentation. So, within each package, the software functions, they have their own help pages. There's the vignettes that I mentioned, they're like the mini tutorials. There's workflows that people write to show how packages can fit together. Books, this is more in the more recent years. These go into detail on say theory behind things like single cell analysis, so theory behind the concepts of the steps and analysis that's being performed, as well as showing and describing what packages can be used. And then there's also workshops, so in-person workshops along the conference and also standalone and courses, longer, say week-long courses that are run. And there's a new preprint paper that's just out that it's like a reference guide for bioconductor training and its resources. And it's the community that enables a lot of this to happen. So the community has grown and grown over the years. And this map here is showing the users, or a picture of users, and you can see they're spread all around the world. The red dots are representing them. And on the right-hand side, we have a plot showing the packages that have been contributed to Bioconductor over the years since the beginning. So how there's been consistent growth and getting us up to that over 2,000 packages now. And this community, a strength of it is that they are really good at knowledge sharing. So there's a few online forums that the users and developers can use. And these are some stats on numbers of members and posts and things from the annual report in 2023. So there's a support site, it's a screenshot on the right, where people using the packages can ask questions and get answers from other community members, the developers who wrote the package as well. We also have a Slack and a mailing list where people can communicate and ask questions and get help. And there's also GitHub issues. So each package, a lot of the packages have GitHub repositories, and users can ask questions there as well or file bug reports. And we also have in-person events. We've got three main conferences per year. So we have a North American, a European, and an Australasian. So these are the ones that took place last year, and numbers from a previous conference. And this year we'll have a North American conference in New York in collaboration with actually the Galaxy community, another software community, and in Barcelona this year. And they're a great place for the community to get together, and they give talks, there's trainings, there's birds of a feather discussions. They're really nice events. Okay, and then I wanted to touch on as well, how do we support this community and the community work? And Bioconductor has been lucky to have gotten some great funding from from CZI, the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. And they have a specific program, I'm not sure if you know of it, called EOSS, the Essential Open Source Software Program. And that's been going since 2019. And through those calls, there's been 6 cycles so far. Bioconductor community members have been lucky enough to have 12 projects funded across the 6 cycles, and 5 projects funded in the most recent cycle, which is giving funds for 2024 to 2026. We have a blog post on that names the most recent grants, and this plot of this map here is showing the locations of the Bioconductor PIs funded in cycle 6. And these cycle 6 grants have enabled us to build on some of the work we did in one of the previous cycles. So EOSS 4, that was a grant that Aideen was on the call. She got through that community advisory board that she co-founded. And that enabled the hiring of a community manager, so myself, and also to redevelop the Bioconductor website. So here, the image on the top right, that's a screenshot of the original Bioconductor website when I started. It had looked like that. That design was going for about 10 years. It was in need of a refresh and also to improve accessibility. So we wanted to make it more welcoming and approachable for new users, and also to make it more accessible for users with disabilities. And we had a survey, a lot of input from the community, over 500 members, and gave us input on the current design and what they thought of it and what they would like. And we had a working group then who worked to develop and create and get us to this new design here, which is shown in the bottom right, which I hope you can see is more welcoming for people. And this is just some metrics on how this new design increased accessibility, shown in this table on the right. And some quotes from a follow-up survey we had with people who mentioned how they loved that now they could use it with screen readers, and also it was better for colorblind people as well. And another project that was funded out of that EOSS 4 grant that Aideen got is the Bioconductor Carpentry Global Training Program. So I was leading this. So the Carpentries are a global organization that provides foundational training in programming skills. So people learning R, Python, Unix, Git, etc. And Bioconductor became a member organization in August 2022. And through the CCI grant, were funded to train 30 instructors around the world over the 2 years of the grant. And the idea being that these instructors could then help train the community in their local areas and help more people to get access to the skills, analysis skills. And so a number of workshops have been and are being delivered this, and this map is showing highlights where these structures are located. And this is just a quote from one of the instructors in our program, how they were able then to, after they were trained, to go back to, they're originally from Brazil in the Amazon rainforest, and to give a workshop there and to teach their communities, share some of the knowledge that they had learned with their community. And so that was a great, that was achieving what we had been hoping for from that program. And so from the new cycle of grants, so from the EOSS 6 cycle, these are the two grants that myself and Aideen secured to continue supporting the bioconductor community. So one is on continuing on with that carpentries training program. So we are specifically going to deliver workshops in Africa. So we've got our very first bioconductor in-person course taking place in March. So I'm organizing that at the moment. These are our collaborators who are involved in that. If you see the previous map, go back and look at it, we have some instructors trained there, but we've no workshops. So this was a way to help them to get workshops to their community. And as part of this, we'll also be translating material into other languages, starting with French, because we plan to deliver a workshop in West Africa, which has French-speaking regions around it, and have been told that having the material available in French will make it more accessible. And the second grant then is on supporting and sustaining bioconductor developers. So part of that is doing more work on the website. So we made it more friendly for new users. Now we want to make the content more accessible for developers. So this is to make the documentation that we have that's on the main website and in some other sites as well in a more structured way so that developers can use it with, say, LLMs, AI tools, etc. And also from this, we will be running a champions program that will help emerging leaders in the bioconductor community, support them to lead working groups in areas of need for developers. So that's me sharing a bit about Bioconductor and the projects we're involved with. And I thank you for listening. And I'm happy to take questions now in the Q&A. And I've just put the link here to the website and my email if you want to follow up on anything. Thanks very much.